I'll rewind and do my initial verb again. So starting off with this breath-based practice, breath-based meditation. So I want you to be comfortable. So if sitting is not comfortable, if you find that that means you're going to slump down and compress the front of the body, so you restrict the ability for the lungs to inflate and deflate effectively, then lie down or sit on a chair or sit leaning against something, because I want you to really be able to focus on the breath rather than your position or feeling discomfort in your position. So pad yourself with whatever you need. And just right at the beginning of this practice, I want you to take yourself really into your physical body and just notice if anything has hardened. So that sort of feeling when you pull the navel into the spine, that hardens around the muscles. If you're doing that, soften. The solar plexus area between the sort of where the ribs kind of knit together, can you soften that? Can you soften the sort of inner groin creases? And depending on how you're, actually, no, whatever position you're sitting in, if you're sitting, the action is the inner thighs roll in and down. And then the glute, so the kind of gluteal creases, you move out, so that there's more space for the sacrum to sit down and there's more space to relax. And then you're feeling like the organs of the body are dropping down into the pelvis. And then at the same time as this kind of grounding action, there's a feeling of lifting up, the breath coming into the armpits. So the chest is lifted, rest of the body is resting down, connecting the torso to the legs. And then let your eyes close. If that doesn't work for you, and there's lots of reasons why having your eyes closed is not necessarily comfortable, just find a steady point to gaze at, maybe down on the floor in front of you, so that you aren't distracted, which really easily happens by something in the room. Just find that steady point of focus. And just in these first few moments, just allowing your body to be, start to notice the breath. And can you feel as though the breath is breathing the body and you're just witnessing the breath? The breath is just coming and going. You're not consciously directing anything just yet. And then when you breathe in, I want you to think of a golden dot on the left shoulder. And as you breathe out, take a golden thread across to the right shoulder. And then from that golden dot on the right shoulder, breathe in. And on an exhalation, take a golden thread down to the base of the spine. Take another in breath, thinking of a golden dot at the base of the spine. And then as you breathe out, take a golden thread up to the left shoulder. And with that exhalation and that golden thread moving to the left shoulder, completing a golden triangle. The next in-breath is directed to a golden dot on the right knee. Breathe in, and on an out-breath, take a golden thread from your left knee and visualize a golden dot there. Breathe in, and on your next out-breath, take a golden thread up to the point between your eyebrows. Visualize this point. Breathe. And then as you breathe out, take the golden thread to your right knee. So forming a second triangle. Feel the interconnection of the two golden triangles, the points of the triangles and what they represent. The two interconnecting triangles are visualized, one having the apex in the Muladhara center, so down at the base of the pelvis, and other in the Anya center, the point between the eyebrows. Allow the body to remain in the stillness of the image as the breathing is slow and even. Keep visualizing those interconnected triangles forming that golden star. Feel that connection between the lower body and the upper body and the head. And you could even take the breath and visualize it moving along the golden threads, left shoulder to right shoulder down to the pelvis, the pubic bone, and then back up to the left shoulder. And then from the left knee, across to the right, from the right to the eyebrow center, from the eyebrow center down to the left. And take a few rounds of breath, moving it along that golden thread, visualizing the star that creates. And then let that visualization, let that golden triangle gently start to dissolve. And just sit with the breath for a little bit longer. And then when you're ready, softly open your eyes. If you are seated, if you want to change the cross of your legs briefly, just to bring a little bit of balance in, or stretch the legs out in front of you, wiggle the ankles, wiggle the toes. And we'll get ready for some gentle movement before we come into our still held poses. If you want to play the playlist, it's just kind of ambient, relaxing tunes, then pop it on now. I'll put mine on just so I can keep an eye on timing. And then we'll come onto the mat to begin with and just take some very gentle cat and cows, because we've been sitting for a little while, so a little bit of gentle movement. So on your all fours, and just stacking the joints, drawing the eyes of the elbows forward, and very slowly on an inhale, lifting the chest, lifting the gaze, but not too high so you're not over compressing the neck. And then as you exhale, there's that gentle rounding into the spine. And as you come into your cat, can you feel like your sit bones are drawing away, so you're creating lots of space? And then round. And after a few rounds of cat and cow, if it's going to feel better to move in different directions, move kind of more fluidly from side to side, then just let the body flow with those movements. Quite nice to drop the hips to one side and then the other, getting a stretch, outer hip, inner groin on the opposite leg. And then we'll come to stillness, and we're going to come into, it's not a restorative posture, but it's a supported down dog using the chair. So I say it's not a restorative posture. It's not a restorative posture in the kind of sense that we hold it for a long time, but it is supported. So you want to have the back of the chair facing you. Going to walk your feet back, and we want to have the hips kind of over the ankles as far as possible. Just put that there so you guys can see. Drawing back. You may want to put a blanket on top of your chair if it feels really hard under the fingers. And watch out for over extending into the lumbar spine. So there's a little bit of lift of the navel. Legs don't have to be straight, but then we're drawing the sit bones back behind us. Ears in line with arms. And feel the base of the shoulder blades moving back down the back. I'm just breathing here. And adjust the foot position. So how wide you have your feet. You don't want them much more than the hip width apart, because that will take us into a different posture, which we're going to do in a minute. But just feel that stretch under the armpits, into the backs of the legs. Bend the knees as much as you need. Don't overstrain the hamstrings as they run down behind the knee. And feel the breath coming right up into the armpits here. And then can you feel the breath moving out across the shoulders, underneath the collarbones? Couple more breaths. And then soften the knees even more and just slowly bring yourself up. And then turn your chair around, and we'll just use the chair to take a supported up dog. So this is where you'll have to kind of work with your chair and the height of it. So what we're going to do is come back into a plank and then just drop our hips and then lift up through the chest. So we're taking the front body into the stretch here, pressing back through the heels. There's a little bit of a back bend. But so this is, for me, the height of this seat works perfectly. Depending on your chair, you may find it better to lean on the top of the back. But it's just, rather than coming into that down dog shape, more of a lift up through the chest. Don't overstretch the knees. Draw the inner shoulder blades together so you get breadth across the chest. And then just see if you can keep the breath flowing. It may feel a little bit more rapid here because it's strong. And can you drop your hips sort of down towards the floor, towards the chair, so you get a yeah, that's it, lovely, Hannah. And then squeeze the inner shoulder blades together. So it's as if you're doing up dog, but you're just up a little bit higher with the hands. Couple more breaths. I'm not going to stay here very long because this is obviously very strong. And then very gently roll back onto the feet, bend the knees, almost as if you come back into down dog, and then walk the feet in and slowly stand up. So we're going to take our first, I guess, can't see me, more traditional restorative posture. We're going to use the chair and we're going to take a wide-legged forward fold. So depending on the height of your chair and what props you've got, I'll show you, I think probably doing it from the side is the easiest. So you're going to have your legs wide, just as you do in your wide-legged forward fold. The feet are parallel with each other, which may mean that, or the pinky toe edge of the feet is parallel. So that might mean, it might mean that you're slightly pigeon-toed. And then we're going to feel like the leg bones, the femurs, the upper leg bones are staying really still here, and it's our pelvis that's rolling over those leg bones. Going to come down onto forearms, and then forehead, if you can see, is just resting on the prop here. So my nose isn't restricted. How high you want your kind of props on your chair is entirely up to you. If you've got quite a deep forward fold, then you may not want a cushion or a bolster at all. You may just want a blanket just to give the elbows a little bit of softness. And as you come down, a little bit of a bend in the legs. And can you feel like you're not hardening the muscles? Keep the legs soft, keep those inner groins soft, keep the inner thighs rolling back and down, and then just stretch. So it's not dissimilar to the down dog, but there's less kind of strain on the shoulders. Let me come and have a look at you guys. But I really want your heads to be supported. So yeah, it will take a little bit of playing around to just make sure that you've got the props right. Lovely. So this is a propped restorative position, but it's not one we're going to hold for significant lengths of time. Keep drawing your hips back, because what tends to happen is they tend to start to creep forward as you hold the shape over time. What about another minute there? And then we're slowly going to come out. So bring the palms of your hands maybe onto the side of the chair so you can hold on. Very slowly lift yourself up, bend your knees as you're coming up. And then slowly come to stand. Bring the head up last so that you don't get dizzy. And then just gently walk the feet in towards each other. And then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to sit on the chair and use it to support us in a twist. So, turn the stopwatch off. Again, depending on the height of your seat of your chair. So I can sit in the chair here, but I don't know if you can see, but my legs are, my knees are a little bit lower than my hips. So it sort of feels like I'm having to lean forward. So, and if you've got a high chair and you're petite, then give yourself some support and put your feet, raise your feet up. So that's much more comfortable for me already. I can feel much more relaxed in this position. So a couple of books, anything just to raise the feet up. So we're sitting up nice and tall. And we're going to take the right hand onto the back of the chair. So kind of a space into the armpit. Going to take the left hand onto the outside of the right thigh. And then keeping broad across the chest, very gentle twist around. And feel the twist is coming from the shoulder blades rather than the head and rather than the lumbar spine. Good. And then very slowly on an exhale, Unwind, come back to center. Just find that midline, find that grounding again. And we'll take it onto the other side. So left hand behind, using the chair for support, right hand on the outside of the left thigh. And again, inhale to lift and exhale to turn, really trying to initiate the turning through the upper body. So the ribs are rotating, the shoulders are moving, lower back is staying much more stable. And then once you're in your full expression of your twist, just take your awareness into the body again. Has anything hardened? Can you soften? Can you still can you keep feeling this kind of dropping down into the pelvis? So there's that real grounding connection. Good. And then gently come back. Have a drink. Lovely. So we're going to come into, I think, one of my very favorite poses now. It's called a front groin release, using the chair. So I'll show you the setup and the points to think about, because everyone's chairs are going to be slightly different. There's going to be some setup time and some sort of creative thinking is probably the best way to put it. So those who know what they're doing and know this pose, then obviously by all means come into it straight away. We're going to lie down on our backs and going to have one leg resting on the chair. And you're looking for roughly a right angle between the shin and the upper leg. The other leg comes straight out in front. So for me, it's going to come, oops, underneath the chair. If I have it on the outside, my leg's out at an angle. I'm coming to lie down. And really for me, my calf isn't, I'm not quite at 90 degrees. So I'm going to use a block under my calf. This is where you have to get creative, because my ankle's now hanging off, which I don't want because that's not going to be supported. So I'm going to put a blanket at the end so that everything is supported. And then this leg isn't actually the one that we are focusing on and releasing. It's this straight leg. And the thing we want to be aware of here is, again, the inner thigh is rolling down to the ground. And we want to make sure that the leg doesn't externally rotate. Lots of us have a tendency for that to happen without us even being aware. So if it's possible, you'll take a bolster or a cushion or something like that and put it down the side of the leg or by the ankle. I'll stick mine down by the ankle to just keep it in line, keep it square. And then you come to lie down, kind of roll the shoulders down, arms away from the body. If you want a little bit of softening under the head, pop a blanket there. We'll be here holding this for quite some time. So if you're starting to cool down, then by all means, put a blanket over you or put a jumper on, put socks on. And just really make sure that this top leg, this bent leg, is supported. So for me, I've still got a little bit of a, yeah, that's better. So because we're not in the studio and we haven't got perfect props, take your time. And then think about your pelvis. Because the one leg is raised, that hip can kind of lift up. You want the pelvis to be nice and neutral. So just put your hands on the front of your hip points and just make sure that they feel roughly, or that they feel even, and adjust if you need to. That straight leg, the inner thigh, keeps rolling down so that your kind of glute crease rolls out at the same time. And then just close your eyes. If you have an eye bag or anything like that, it's nice to pop over the forehead or over the eyes. If anybody's got any questions, if anybody wants any kind of help, I'm sort of seeing everyone looks okay. I just want to make sure that that whole of the leg or the shin that's on the chair is supported, because otherwise you're going to use muscular tension to hold it in place. We want that leg to soften and relax. And then, as I say, eyes closed, not working with any particular breath technique or pranayama. But if you can you get that sense of dropping down into the pelvis and grounding? So the back of the pelvis is supported by the earth. And there's that sense of softening and release. If the mind is busy this evening, just acknowledge it, accept it, don't try and change it. But equally, try not to get caught up in individual thoughts and following trains of thought. Just let each thought come and go, wash over you. Going to very, very slowly and gently come out of the posture on this side. And maybe draw knee that's on the chair into the chest, and then draw the other knee in to join it. Have a little roll around on the sacral area, and then as best you can roll to one side. Might be tricky if the chair's in the way. Press your hands into the floor and very slowly bring yourself up. Bring the head up last, and then we're going to move on to the opposite side. So take your time on the setup, and it may be that you need to add or take away props. Often the two sides can be slightly different. So just kind of feel into it. If anybody's got any questions, then let me know. And it may be because we are very still and you've been lying down for a while that you are feeling cooler now. So if you are starting to cool down, maybe pop a jumper on or a hoodie or something before we come down to the second side. Because if you are cooling down, then the body will tense and you won't be able to get that feeling of the relaxation response kicking in. Again, as you stay in the pose, get that sense, if you can, of that releasing down to the pelvic bowl, that hip crease on the straightened leg, beginning to soften the flesh of the inner thigh, moving down and around internally, down to the floor, allowing the sacral area to broaden. And just allowing the tension that we often hold in this kind of groin, pelvic area, hip flexors, just to melt a little, to soften. Also have awareness of the spine and the back body being held by the earth underneath you. Maybe there's a sense there of the ribs softening and spreading wide. And allowing yourself to give yourself to the support, to that sense of being held. So there's no effort required of you. Even the breath is breathing you rather than the other way around. Last few moments on this side. And then very gently, very mindfully, very lovingly start to bring yourself out of the shape. And again, bring yourself up very slowly to a seated position. Any seated position. Just make sure that you can be comfortable. Just take a few moments back in the upright position before we come down for our penultimate shape. So the last shape we're going to take is Vita Parita Karani, legs up in the air. So if anyone has access to a wall, then that's a really nice way to take the posture. Literally going to lie legs up against the wall. You can prop the pelvis up a little bit on a cushion or a bolster if you have one. I'd suggest if you've got socks on, you should be okay. If you've got bare feet, because we're going to be in the shape for about 5 minutes, it might be worth wrapping a blanket around your feet so that they don't get too cold on the wall. If you haven't got a wall handy, which is quite possible, then you can use your chair, use the back, and you'll need to pop a blanket, possibly 2 on top so that it's not too hard on the legs, and then just bring yourself down and rest. The other thing to say is it's probably worth putting something heavy on the top of the on the seat of the chair, just so that the chair doesn't kind of slip and slide away like mine is doing. But the legs are elevated. Yeah, I can feel this this chair's moving, so definitely pop something on heavy so that doesn't happen. But make sure that the support is soft on the back of the legs. And then once you're down, arms could be away from the body, so you've got that space under the armpits. And if you're lying with the arms kind of away from the body, have the palms facing up. But equally, it can be nice to rest the hands on you so you get that physical feedback, that sensation of touch, gently resting heart and belly or both hands on the belly. Or even, because we've been working on releasing through the groin and the hip crease, resting the hands down in that area can be nice as well. Just feeling a little bit of warmth. But wherever you rest your arms, don't let that be at the expense of bringing tension into the shoulders. So sort of consciously relax the shoulders down. And on an exhale, feel the heaviness through the back body sinking down into the earth. And then just let everything go to gravity. Last few moments with the legs raised. And then from here, gently draw your knees into your chest. Hug them in. And then just bring your hands onto your knees, onto your shins. Just a little bit of movement around. And then we're going to set up for Shavasana with Yoga Nidra, so yogic sleep. So we're going to be here for at least 10 minutes. So please wrap up because it's amazing how quickly the body cools down when in stillness. And it's just no fun trying to relax if you are cold. So I'll give you, just watch you're getting set up and then we'll start. So as cozy as possible. And the other thing to think about is because we're going to be lying down for a fairly long period of time, the back of the head can get quite sore if it's just down on a mat, particularly if you've got sort of a hard wooden floor. So you might want to put a very thin cushion or a blanket under the back of the head, just provides a little bit of softness. Okay. So once you are down, feel your body sinking into the mat. Allow your shoulders to spread across the floor and gently move the head from side to side to release any tension in the neck. Allow the head to let go. Imagine a cool blue light surrounding your body from the crown of the head to the tips of the toes. Feel this light widening outwards, creating an aura of light all around you. Feel it pulsating with life and energy. Allow the light to be a healing light if you feel in need of healing, either mentally, emotionally, or physically. Allow this healing to take place while you relax. And I think all of us need some healing right now, even if we're not consciously aware, just because of what we're going through as a collective. So feel this blue light around you, giving the opportunity to heal. Take the attention to the breath and allow the belly to slowly rise and fall with each breath. Don't try and alter the breath in any way. Just witness the in and out, the flow, the slow coming and going, the evenness, the quiet rhythm. Allow the body to just be. Now you are aware of melting down onto the floor and you feel quite safe and secure. Feel the color blue soaking into the body, drenching all of your cells with fresh life force, with energy, with balance. Allow yourself to surrender to the healing. Now take the attention to the feet and allow the toes to spread and separate. Turn the toes inwards, flex and release. Allow the instep to let go, the sole of the foot, the ankle, and feel the feet as solid and heavy. Feel as though the feet are moving away from you, dense and heavy, so heavy that you feel as though you are unable to move them. Allow the feet to relax and let go. Feel them flopping out to the side. Allow the legs to release, the shins, the calves, the knees and the kneecap, the thigh and the back of the thigh. Allow the legs to release and let go. Feel as though the legs are moving away from you, solid, heavy and dense. Take the attention to the hands, to the back of the hands touching the floor, to the fingertips, the fingers and the palm of the hand. Feel the softness in the palm of the hand. Allow the lower arm to let go, the elbow, the upper arm, the whole arm releasing down, moving away. Take the attention to the back and feel the vertebrae release from the base of the spine to the crown of the head. Visualize each vertebra letting go and release onto the floor. Feel the whole of the back spread outwards. Feel the back widen, and at the same time feel the length, the stretch, the whole of the back spreading across the floor, and be aware of the amount of space the body takes up, a very small amount of space. Take the visualization now to the belly and be aware of the softness in the belly, the slow, steady breath, the calm, quiet coming and going of the breath. Witness the rhythm, the separation of the breath, the pause and the still points. Feel as if the whole body is breathing and that the breath is breathing the body. Allow the abdomen to let go and feel the softness in the belly. Allow the chest center to open out, and on each inhalation, feel the division of the breath. Allow this openness to create a space within the chest center, allowing you the freedom to breathe mentally and physically. Allow this freedom to open out. Allow it to open out the heart center, creating a release, a feeling you may not have felt for a long time. Allow this center to be filled with peace. Feel this openness now spreading to the throat, to release the voice, to move around the neck, the back of the head, the crown of the head, the scalp, the space between the scalp and the skull, and even the hair and even every hair on the head, as you allow the face to let go and soften. The lower jaw slightly drops. Feel the entire face release. The forehead, the eyes, the eyebrows, the eyelids relaxing in pools of darkness. The temples, the nose, the tip of the nose, the cheeks, the cheekbones, the upper and lower lip, the jaw and the hinges of the jaw, the chin, and even the ears and earlobes. Feel the whole body release and sink down onto the floor. All you are aware of is the steady breath, the rise and fall of the belly as the breath moves in and out. Allow yourself to feel the stillness. Feel the body continuing to melt and release. That sense of softening, expanding, your edges becoming less distinct. And that gentle soft breath moving in and out of the body. So if you are feeling relaxed in your Shavasana and you are able to stay there, then please stay there. We're just over the hour, so if there are things that you need to be getting on with on the rest of your Wednesday evening, then start to bring awareness back into the physical body. And maybe begin by just touching each finger onto the thumb, just drawing some little circles, feeling that skin on skin contact. And then extending that to bigger movements of the fingers and toes. Any stretches that you want to take. And then when you're ready, you're going to roll over onto one side. Use your hands to support you. And very slowly bring yourself up, bring the head up last and find a comfortable way of sitting. And again, think about that sense of softening, releasing down into the pelvis. No tension in the belly or the solar plexus. Keep the eyes closed or softly focused on a single point. And just take these last few moments together just to take a moment in gratitude and acknowledgement of the fact that you've carved out this time to nourish and replenish yourself so that you can be there for those around you. And then when you're ready, draw your hands together at heart center, press thumbs into sternum, bow your head. And then gently open your eyes with your head bowed. And then use an inhale to very slowly lift the head, lift the gaze. Thank you so much for sharing your time with me. Really appreciate it. Have a good rest of the evening if you're not staying in Shavasana. I'm just going to come and take everyone off mute so we can say goodbye to each other. And the